Classy.
At least I'm mute when I'm heating up my meth bong or needle, whatever.
God almighty. It's a meth pipe.
There is a sixth dimension beyond that which is known to man. A multiverse as vast as eternity, as timeless as the Infinity Gems. It is the middle ground between the big two and the indie publishers, between sci-fi and mysticism, and it lies between the pages of the reader's imagination. At the summit of entertainment, the dimension of comics, where a humble service is held. We call this service the Gospel of Comics.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Gospel of Comics. I am your host, the Church of Failure, and with me, as always, is my trusty co-host, Ayrton McCartney. How you doing today, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good.
Are you?
Decided to annoy you during the intro tonight.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. I'm sorry. You're doing pretty good. Let me hurry up and fuck that up for you. We are we are joined in the virtual studio by our good friend, Mr. Kempster, the Novel Bro. How are you doing tonight, sir?
Not too bad. Just dodging away, and looking forward to covering tonight's topics.
Okay, all right. Well, we do have a few before we get into to 1602. First order of business, current schedule. We've been mulling it around lazily for several weeks, and Ayrton and I have decided to throw the dice. How come you ain't invited? Invited where? You're always invited, Dillard. You know where the green room is? Just get in there. You know, we just bring people on arbitrarily.
Always,
Don't try and guilt trip me like that.
always. Get your ass in here.
Oh, wait,
Whatever.
no.
Whatever.
Wait, no, this is Dillard. Never mind. He's the one. I'm kidding. Kidding. You ever want to come on, man? You know how to get on.
I would do it, bro.
You just jump in the waiting room. We'll bring you in.
Barge down the door.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Well, if you're Mexican, you can just jump over the wall right.
Okay. All right. We're too early in the show for that. I haven't had enough alcohol. I don't know what you're trying to do to me. We need all races
I
represented.
enjoy being the source of
Where
your
do-
alcoholism.
Where even is this show going? We're a minute into on the air, guys. 1 minute. The fuck? Anyway. We've decided that we're going to do Saturdays and Mondays just to kind of dance around every other show that's always going on and see how people adjust to that. That's the first order of business. Second order of business, the true countdown pretty much has started. Andy Worski was banned off YouTube proactively. However, it seems that he was banned because he pissed off a minor e-celeb. So, but
Of course he did.
as long as no one knows who we are, we can continue to do that. But once people figure out who we are and they start watching, then our days are numbered. Looking at you, Rob Liefeld.
I'm surprised we made it this far.
I don't know. Welcome Danielle, Dillard Draws to the chat. How's it going? Everybody who's not in the actual chat itself.
What up?
So first real order of business I've got on the agenda. Let me pull down the stream start soon. Before I do that, let's make sure everyone remembers if you want to donate Ayrton some lunch money, as little as $1, get your donation read out on air. Streamlabs.com/Church of Failure. It actually all directly goes to Ayrton. There's also Patreon.com.
I can confirm this.
There's also Patreon.com/Church of Failure. I want to say. I don't know my own links.
I believe that's right.
I don't. Obviously, I'm
Don't
so
worry,
good at this.
Ayrton.
No,
After the
The link's down
Patreon.com/Gospel of Comics. Yeah, down below in the description. That's the best way to support the show currently. Because first piece of news I've got here is New Project 2 is basically no more. After 18 months, they finally got New Project 2, and I wanted to read the LA-based comedian on Twitter's thoughts on it. Obviously not Nick Masterson, but his public representative. So it goes as follows. Bad news. I learned this week that New Project 2 is on the match list. This is a global credit card processing blacklist curated by MasterCard that all banks use to determine processing eligibility. Some offshore banks will service customers with the match list for all codes except one, number 10, violation of standards. Guess which one I'm on the list for? The site cannot process credit cards. As current subscriptions run out, all membership levels will terminate and the site will go dormant. I will leave your admin logins up for 3 months so that you can retrieve data and subscriber info. Payout requests made during this time will include last settled transactions. I recommend logging into your backend, copying the list of subscribers, sending them an email to alert them of your plans. Use BCC or MailChimp. If you'd like to set up a system similar to mine, S2 Member and WordPress will get you there. Subscribestar is also an option, but no matter where you go, you will be under the thumb of MasterCard. I started this project with the goal of making deplatforming transparent. And in the last 18 months, I've learned that the platforming process is not transparent because of our financial system is not transparent. And the censorship works in reverse. Each layer is built specifically to obfuscate, that's a $5 word, obfuscate what's happening behind the scenes. Companies and banking partners are incentivized to censor proactively to abide by ill-defined requirements of the Patriot Act, leftover policies of Operation Choke Point, and to protect staggering capital investment. And the credit card certification requirements of questionable necessity. They are held hostage. There is no customer support, no warning given. It's guesswork done in a black box. Banks partner with the processing institutions who have relationships with larger banks who all exist in the world of MasterCard. I will post a bigger write-up about this experience on the site at newproject2.com if you're interested in the specifics. Otherwise, thank you for your investment in the project and your support. I had a lot of big ideas for the site, but I spent nearly all of my time trying to keep the processor afloat. The only thing that can fix this mess is the Federal Reserve and the blockchain, and they will, but not soon. Dick. So, long story short, and you can see first off, you can see his post here. NP2 processing is down permanently. Thanks for the support, everyone. After 18 months, I can confidently say that Patreon et al. Must censor to survive. We're all under the thumb of MasterCard, and they're likely in your wallet. So, that's that.
By the way, I believe we have a super chat.
Oh, do we? Do we in the man?
Yeah.
All right, I'll get to that in just a second. But what do you guys think about New Project 2? What goes through
I'll
your
let our guts go first.
There's a silver lining there. There is a silver lining there. Once shit starts to, fix up again with the Fed, then chances are, things might actually, get back up and running again. Just temporarily out of action. Off the road, as it would seem.
Well, I mean, he used the word permanently, so I don't know. I don't know if temporarily out of action is really. I don't know that Dick will ever make a run at this again. New Project 2 was
the blockchain technology is still way too far out to be able to bypass MasterCard successfully to the extent they would need it.
Oh, absolutely. And even if they did, I mean, what's stopping them from trying to centralize? All right, so we do have a $2 donation from. Okay, no, I don't need an ad. Streamlab. Dillard Draws. Pick it up with your butt cheeks, whore. Ayrton, get to it.
Oh, I will. Do you want me to turn my camera on so you can see it?
I don't want to see it, but the people might. So thank you for that, Dillard. Now Ayrton can get himself an Arizona iced tea and some Lance crackers at lunch tomorrow. Maybe 2 packs of Lance crackers. He'll be eating good.
Actually, since we sell Arizona iced tea at this new location I'm at, I actually get it for half price, so I could get 2 Arizona iced teas. A pack of crackers. So thank you, Dillard.
Oh shit! Okay, big money. New Project 2. I had this conversation the other day with Riley, a guest on the show, and he and I were kind of back and forth debating the idea that the internet is an evolving organism that will constantly change and move with the times. And I don't believe that anymore. At one point that was true back in the day of, 4chan and image boards and, forum posting and stuff like that. Now everything's become so centralized and everything revolves around just certain key components and key websites. Everything is info logged. Your information is sold at every turn. You have no true anonymity, and you can be banned for wrongthink. I don't know that you ever reverse course from that. Obviously, people are moving to Parler from Twitter and Gab and Telegram and things like that, and eventually those websites will start to ban people, or they'll be taken over and people will be banned. So you'll have to move to the dark web and use a Tor browser and stuff like that in order to exist on the internet. And as a normal human being, my next logical step is, I just centralize the dark web and make it illegal to access anything outside of the centralized website. So I make it a crime to have free speech on the internet at that point. And it's not far-fetched to do. Now, I'm not saying that in the sense that that's what I want, but I think we all as adults can agree that that's where this goes. no matter what you do in Dick's situation with New Project 2, nothing's stopping the people against you from trying to centralize and making what you're doing illegal. You know, if you go with crypto, that's going to target crypto if the wrong person does it, and vice versa, and on and on and on.
Well, see, you're taking it farther than what they even need to. I mean, look at China's social credit score system. Facebook's implementing shit like that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's all you really have to do. You don't even have to centralize all of it. You just have to, you know, with everybody on social media and putting all their information in there, you know, you make one off-color joke and all of a sudden you can't buy a bus ticket for a week. You know, if you live in the city, that's going to deter people way more than just grabbing control of the internet. And I think that's how they're going to go through with it, other than trying to centralize the entire fucking internet.
We have a guest on the panel now. How goes it, Mr. Dillard Dross?
You guys are talking about lofty things. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Oh no, New Project 2.
Reach that high? New
Project 2 was a Patreon alternative that got shut down because Dick Masterson is persona non grata. It kind of affects people because it was a way to get money if Patreon had banned you. And it's another one of those internet things that was a good idea, but it was just never going to work because of who did it.
All right, then.
The next topic, actually, I do want to get your opinion on. So, Novel Bro, if you want to weigh in on New Project 2 any further, let me know. Otherwise, we're going to move on to the comics pledge that took place last week.
Yeah, let's just roll it on through, shall we?
Okay. All right. Did you see this, Dillard? I had the post by Tom King up on screen, but
I've seen this. Yeah,
you've seen this. You have some thoughts?
Please go off, Dillard.
I'm gonna read this a little bit. Tom King says, "I pledge to say no to abuse, harassment, grooming, and manipulation of women and all people of marginalized genders and sexes." Now, I mean, if you've got men, never mind. I'm not going to say that. Are you with us? Take the comics pledge with me. Post this graphic and message in a new tweet. Don't just retweet. So it's not even an original thought by Tom King. He's copied it from somewhere else, but it got a lot of play because Tom King. And the pledge reads, "Men in comics say no." There are a lot of ideas where we claim to honor in comics: hope, justice, unity, innovation, creativity, and freedom. None of them mean anything unless men in comics change our behavior and hold each other accountable for the safety of women and all people of marginalized genders and sexes.
I'd much rather pick my nose.
I just figured you could just be a decent person without having to put a picture up on Twitter, right? I mean, what do you
exactly?
What do you
just don't go putting your thumb up people's assholes in the office,
or sending pictures of your asshole to your coworkers.
Drop this shit. Well,
I mean, why you gotta tell me what to do though? Why can't I just do what I want to do?
I mean, you can.
Is that a pale, Jenny?
I mean, you can put your thumb up your asshole, Dillard. We didn't say you couldn't do that.
Wait, Dillard, are you saying you do not pledge to never abuse, harass, groom, or manipulate women?
I mean, look. You can see. I'm showing my video right now, right?
I'm not even gonna let him finish before I do that.
I mean, you can see my video. You can see my face. I mean, do I look like the kind of person that girls are going to approach?
I mean, I think you got lucky being married, Dillard.
I mean, harassment and manipulation is my bread and butter.
You know? I mean, that's how you got married. I know.
What about your ass?
Pretty much, yeah. See, I'm of the mindset that any guy can get any girl he wants as long as he tries hard enough. And if you make it illegal to try,
Right.
I mean, what the fuck?
That's how you get incels.
Mm.
Yeah, the pledge goes as follows: never abuse, harass, groom, or manipulate women, and all people of marginalized genders and sexes. To hold myself accountable for my own actions. Like, why do you need that written down on a piece of paper? Never have I looked at myself and said, "Damn, I guess I shouldn't have done that." Oh well, and then gone on about my day. Like, okay, well, let me see if I can fix the problem. Is there something I could have done differently here? You man up. That's what being a man is. Like, you don't need it written down on a piece of paper you carry around in your wallet next to your condom.
Oh, exactly. But here's the thing.
Who the hell uses condoms?
Well, we know church doesn't. That's why there's 3 chapels running around in the background all the time.
Look, man, I'm just being topical. You always had the condom in your wallet, regardless of whether you're going to use it or not. Yeah, I got one.
Church can barely pull out of his driveway.
Oh, thank you. I can't pull out of a bad investment. What were you saying, Novel Bro? I'm sorry. We're all degenerates.
No. This is the part where we are not degenerates.
Yeah.
Right here, like talking, all right, fair enough, women, but he's expecting us to be all sexually, you're going, darling, with trannies. Like, no, man, it's just the hotties. Everybody else can just go and suck on a fat one. I don't know.
Okay. All right.
He basically wants to milady all the trannies.
Well,
I mean, you go to work. Work is awful. Work is mundane. Work is terrible.
Uh-huh.
There are only a few things at work that are fun. And usually when you
cigars.
Yeah, but the thing is, like most of the time when you're at work, when you work for someone, not when you work for yourself, you go to work and there's that area, the area that you're not normally working in, but every now and then you go over there and that's like the front desk area where the girls are, and you can have your little time where you can take your little break from work, go and chit chat and flirt a little bit, and then get back to whatever you were doing. You can't get too crazy because then you get fired, But it's nice to have that little break to go do something else away from the hot, sweaty, nasty guys.
Okay.
But, it's almost like
especially after
they're trying
you've been delivering eggs all day.
Yeah, especially that. Me personally, I can't because the only woman that works in that area is this big, ugly, disgusting woman with no teeth.
Oh, is it the woman from the Boondock Saints movie where in the meatpacking plant? Is it her?
If only she looked that attractive.
Oh God. The next point is.
But essentially, what they're trying to do is they're trying to when we go to work, because you'll see that in almost every single response to this, when people say, "Well, how are guys supposed to meet girls?" They'll always say, "Not at work, not at work."
Where else are you going to meet women?
Don't do anything. Exactly right. What they're trying to do is they're trying to just segregate and say, just if you're a guy, just go stand over there.
Let the women approach you, which will never happen.
We'll let you know if we find you. If you look like Chris Hemsworth, we might go over there and give you a shot, and then you can, possibly buy me a drink. Get
right.
The fuck out of my face.
The next point on the list is to actively intervene when we see or know of abuse, harassment, grooming, or manipulation. So technically, we're all supposed to tackle Dillard right now and put him under citizen.
Yeah, do it. You're gonna catch a fucking uppercut. You ain't missing your bottom.
So now, I don't know if just working in the tobacco industry attracts certain people, but I've literally smacked a female coworker's ass with a shelf because she was in my way and wouldn't move. And then I've also had my nipples pinched on multiple occasions from various other people. Plus,
do you have to humble brag in front of the man? Like he just said that the only woman he works close to is the Bride of Frankenstein, and you're over here like slapping asses and nipple pinches. That's a good time for Dillard. Ayrton, calm down.
I'm just wondering, like, because I've been working in this industry for so long. Like these aren't common things everywhere else, correct? Like I'm just in like a weird.
No, okay. You're in a hipster environment, so you're gonna do hipster shit like sexually harass one another.
I mean, one of our
because normally like when you work when you're a regular guy and you're not fancy schmancy and you're working in a cigar, I don't know what the hell do you call it, haberdashery. You have like a tool. You have your work area where you have pictures of girlies, on your toolbox and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You don't normally interact like that when you work, unless you're, a homosexual. You'll usually find homosexual men working alongside the women in reception and stuff like that. But normally they don't work along side by side like
that. The next point is to ally for women. There's that word again. And all people of marginalized genders and sexes experiencing abuse. How many people do you think raised hell that we have to use the word genders and sexes to appease everyone? Actually, what I am is technically not a gender, so if we could address that.
Yeah, church is a building.
No, I'm saying like that conversation had to happen. Like even with all the genders that there are, the conversation had to happen where someone was like, technically what I am isn't a gender. Or else they could just say marginalized genders.
I just need to say, in the last, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 months, I've seen at least 3 headlines from the Babylon Bee on Twitter without reading that it was the Babylon Bee posting it, and was like, what the fuck kind of crazy shit is happening now? And then look over and realize it's fucking crazy out there now.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Life is becoming a Babylon Bee article. Unironically.
To actively call out our friends and peers, even when no one
said like clean water is racist or something, some shit like that. They posted. I laughed my ass off.
The second to last is basically to do the same thing as the third, to actively call out our friends and peers, even when no one else is watching. And finally, to commit to this pledge for the long haul and keep this conversation alive for the industry. And then there's a
don't you as a normal guy, don't you do this already?
I mean, usually, I can't imagine having to be told not to just like whip my dick out in the middle of the boardroom.
People wouldn't tell you that, but like, let's say for instance, you pull a really creepy ass move. That's like they're the guys that you work with. They're chomping at the bit to tell you that you're a fucking creep, dude. What the hell was your problem? Did you that's
did
something
you
that
just
people
do that?
Like, dude, you're nasty as fuck. You're a creepy ass dude. Get away from me.
You make it sound a little bit more offending, like, "Ugh, what a creepy guy." Ugh. Like they have to be like really beta male to actually really be like that. Like, oh, why can't you just leave Liz alone? Ugh.
Yeah. Like, could you maybe not
my thoughts exactly?
Could you maybe not wait until she goes into the supply closet to press up against her to reach for pens? Like, could you not do that? That's kind of gonna get you fired. But there's a
do it like that way, like do it.
Well, there's an asterisk at the bottom here, and then we'll all sound off on this and move on. We understand marginalized genders and sexes to include, but not be limited to, non-binary and binary trans people, two-spirit, agender, and gender-fluid people, as well as intersex people of any gender. What the fuck is a two-spirit? I've never heard that term before. I need to know immediately.
Two-spirit? It's just like, it's non-binary, but in feather, not dot Indian, I think, or some stupid.
I mean,
shit
isn't the word right there two, TWO? Isn't that essentially binary?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god.
I just fucking can't with this shit, right? Like, I can't imagine needing.
Go
Go ahead.
I've been writing all this down as you go, and this is what I have to say about it.
What was that?
So you fart? That would have been hilarious. Farted.
Huh?
What was that? Did you crack another beer? Is that what that was?
No, it was supposed to be paper tearing, but apparently the mic didn't pick that up.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was sensitive enough to do that.
Thank you, Mrs. Pelosi. Your statement was so powerful.
I don't think that you were actually writing that stuff down.
No, Dillard, I wasn't actually writing it down.
I'm onto your tricks.
What a waste of paper.
This is what's called a radio bit, Dillard.
Yeah, well, maybe you would have understood if you had tried to rip paper before the show, asshole. But no,
a real good radio etiquette, getting that on mic, you know.
I can't imagine needing this shit. Like, can you imagine needing this written down and expressed out to you? Like, can we just address?
Here's the thing. Have any of you guys ever worked in any kind of like menial job?
Oh, of course not. Of course not. We haven't. We're all Fortune 500, company CEOs here.
All right, good. Now, because you guys are all, fancy, I got to explain some stuff to you. Sometimes in the real world, you work these jobs that essentially anybody can get because they're shit jobs, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And when I mean anybody can get them, I truly mean anybody can get them, even people that are a little bit slow.
Right.
Sometimes you get some guys in there that are a little slow.
Right.
And they're not.
That's how you got the job.
Pick up on social
37
cues.
and have a 4th grade reading level.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And sometimes some of us we don't get things right away.
Right.
Yeah, so maybe I'll go and I'll be a little bit too brash or forthright with a woman, and I don't get it right away because I'm a dummy and I work at these stupid jobs. I work in a warehouse or something, and I don't, or I work at Amazon. I don't know if I actually did work at Amazon, and that was it was almost like 40-60, like 40% women. It was a lot. And
wow.
a lot of really socially awkward people that don't know when to say when. And a lot of these big dummies, they do need to be told. And usually they are told by their coworkers and that kind of thing. But again, that kind of stuff is being so nitpicked and red taped that it becomes an issue if you do say anything, because you can't say something, you yourself might get fired. So they end up, everything has to go to HR, which causes a big problem. It's the whole
HR.
Don't bully me. I'm gonna go to the boss. You know what I mean? Like, don't talk to me. So again, there's no checking. You can't check somebody when they step out of line. So this stuff turns into an actual big problem because some of these dudes are really fucking weird, dude. And you can tell them right when they walk up. You can see it in their face. There's something off about them.
Let's take a step back here, Dillard. I think you're overthinking the issue. The problem isn't that there are really creepy people that don't get the hint and need it spelled out for them. The problem that I have with this is the entire country's been quarantined for 6 months, and yet these motherfuckers still need it spelled out for them not to sexually harass people. How the fuck are you sexually harassing people and you're not even going to work to the point that your job has to tell you to stop harassing people?
They're probably really good at it.
Like, are you like, hey, sorry I haven't been to the office in 6 weeks. Here's a picture of my dick.
Showing up to like a fucking Zoom meeting, like in just a t-shirt and nothing else.
In your whitey tighties.
Some hard dicks with the right there.
No, nothing else.
No, just whitey tighties, no t-shirt. You're not wearing the whitey tighties properly.
I don't know. I think just t-shirt's worse.
That's super worse. I don't know what you're talking about, church.
Maybe wear the t-shirt like a diaper. I don't know. But no, that's the one thing that stuck with me when I saw this on Monday. I'm like, wait a minute. I know comic book creators can work from home and probably have been for 6 months now. Like, how are they still having such a major problem with Well, I'm saying, how are they still having such a major problem with sexual harassment that you have to send out a fucking memo? If this isn't a virtue signal,
they're not even sending dick pics. They're drawing sketches of their dicks and then uploading them and emailing them over.
But isn't
that what you do, Dillard?
This has to be a virtue signal. That's the only thing I can think of.
Oh, all of this bullshit's fucking virtue signaling. These assholes.
Yeah, it's hard virtue signal. It's 2020, you know. It's not such a fucking problem anymore, you know.
Now, did you have anything else to add, Dillard, before we move on?
Oh, I'm good.
Okay. How familiar are you with the Pirates of the Caribbean series?
Extraordinarily.
Oh yeah, yeah. Did you hear the news?
Do you have
buddy?
a man crush on Johnny Depp?
The Margot Robbie news?
Yeah.
Sure as fuck did.
What do you think about that?
I think it's gonna be a total dumpster fire.
That was my thoughts as well.
Hey, they didn't have dumpsters back then.
But I just want to know.
No, they're making this movie current day. Am I correct?
That I don't know.
Stupid Ayrton.
We can
wait. What?
We can
we
look
got
into
dumpsters now.
Yeah, we can look into the article, but no, I don't know anything about it. I just know that these people keep thinking that Margot Robbie can carry a movie of any kind, and I don't understand who keeps hiring
them. She could barely act her way out of a plastic bag.
So let me pull this up.
No, I mean the thing is the movie could work. It's just not going to.
No, if they picked a different
same writer,
actress,
it's the same writer as Birds of Prey.
Right.
Fuck
yeah.
Hell.
Right.
Yeah, they need a different.
Because the thing is, Johnny
lead.
Depp hasn't been able to carry a movie in a while. Because who carried that movie was Jeffrey Rush.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Barbossa.
Barbossa was probably the most polarizing, fucking amazing, interesting character in that entire run. And every time he showed up on screen, it was solid gold.
Oh, absolutely.
He was hilarious. And even when they got, what's his name from Deadwood? I forget his real name. Damn it. The one that played Blackbeard.
Mrs. Church in the chat says, I have some questions for the person that drew Batman's penis now.
Oh,
did you read that? Did you read that comic?
No, I did not.
Is that what it was?
The bat penis.
God, that thing was beautifully drawn.
And then there was Dick.
The penis or the comic?
Both.
Everything. Shaft, the head, the crown.
Big veiny triumphant bastard.
No, is he Jewish based off the drawing of his penis?
No, he's not.
Oh, okay.
Speaking of, Margot Robbie and Christina Hodson reteamed for a new Pirates of the Caribbean movie for Disney. This project is separate from the already announced franchise reboot being developed by pirate scribe Ted Elliott and Chernobyl creator Craig Mazin. Margot Robbie is setting sail with the help of Birds of Prey writer Christina Hodson. Hodson has been tapped to write the new female-fronted Pirates of the Caribbean with Disney, with Robbie attached as the star. While the plot details are being kept in Davy Jones's locker, good pun, the project in early development is not intended to be a spin-off of the long-running franchise that had pirate Jack Sparrow at its center.
Let me see if I can get my knee slap on audio.
See, callback humor. It's the best kind of humor. I keep trying to drive that home, but
damn right.
The longest running franchise had the long running franchise had pirate Jack Sparrow at its center, but rather a wholly new original story with new characters under the pirate's moniker. It's self-inspired by the long running attraction at Disneyland. So we're getting a movie that's based on. Hold on. We're getting a movie that's based on a ride that's based on a movie.
Homegirls are going to be a bunch of whores getting chased by pirates.
Now, because we have Michael Keaton on the potential topic list, I feel like this is topical. Anybody ever see Multiplicity? That bad 90s Michael Keaton movie where he cloned himself like 6 times?
I don't think so. Oh,
I never liked Michael Keaton's haircut, so I never watched any movies other than Batman.
So
am I alone on that or what?
No, you are. Michael Keaton was a goddamn filmmaking genius. The point is when you take Michael Keaton's roles in Multiplicity, he cloned a clone at one point because the clone felt that he was being overworked, which was the entire point of having a clone. And
he just slowly got more retarded as he kept cloning himself, right?
Well, pretty much a copy of a copy is never quite as sharp as the original, with the way they described it, like using a fax machine or a copier. And it just
a more PC way of what I just said.
Yes, basically. So what they're saying is they're making a movie that's based on a ride that's based on a fucking movie. I'm not okay with that. It hurts my brain to think about.
The fact that they came out with a fucking movie in general based on a goddamn ride, I mean, is a moronic idea. I mean, the first Pirates movie was entertaining as all hell, but still, like, making 17 movies out of it, fuck off, Disney.
Right.
No, it did. There was a diminishing return on the original set, but then they kind of did like a soft reboot for the very last one. I'm still blanking on his name.
What was that? The
one with Javier Bardem.
Oh, the
Men Tell No Tales.
Oh yeah,
that was actually. It went a whole different direction. It was really cool, but then the whole thing with Depp and his old lady went down, and all those movies got put on hold.
Yeah.
And but the thing was, like, you can have an interesting movie because, again, Jack Sparrow, he was, let me look at the box cover. He's on the, that's his effigy.
Right.
But he's not the most interesting person in the movie.
No.
It's all of his co-stars that were really good. But it like I said, it could work, but I'm not seeing, they're not showing me what's going to be the hook for it. It's just, woman-fronted movie. And because that's what they're leading with, you can kind of tell already they're not really putting any kind of
effort into it. Yeah. Well, it's Ocean's 8 all over again. It's Ghostbusters 2016. It's, it's Charlie's Angels.
Charlie's Angels.
They never learn.
Don't go.
What's that?
I said they never learn. They never learn.
Well, I have a problem with thinking that Margot Robbie can actually, carry any kind of movie.
Act.
Like, I mean, she's fine as an actress. Carry the
movie. Like
Go ahead.
She has a distinctive face, which is enough for a pirate movie.
She's okay as an actress.
Yeah,
she can pass. She's excellent for a high school play. She's passable for anything else.
And I disagree with you, Dillard, that she does kind of need to carry the movie because that's what these movies are built around so far. Everything that starred her since the original Suicide Squad and all of that shit, the Birds of Prey movie, all of that has been basically built around her as Harley Quinn, but not because Harley Quinn is the character, but because Margot Robbie is playing Harley Quinn. They're trying to artificially inflate her as an important actress, and I don't understand why. Is basically what I'm getting at. Like, they're not just letting her become good on her own and have this
it seems to me that you and me agree on this.
Yeah,
we do. We agree on this. But what the issue is that you think that your reason is stronger than my reason, which is false.
No. I'm saying that these movies, like, she has to carry the movie, is what I'm saying. Like, Margot Robbie is the selling point.
I'm saying she don't.
Well, she doesn't have to, but they're going to expect her to.
Here,
I call it a Pirates movie.
Hold on, ladies, you're both pretty. So I think what's happening.
You know what?
Here,
I needed to hear that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it feels good. Thank you.
What's happening here You're welcome. Is fucking, hipster hot topic fucking nerds that love Harley Quinn because she's quirky and weird and oh my god, so random. Like Margot Robbie because of that horrible movie. So they're using her for this Pirates movie to basically play a female Jack Sparrow or play Harley Quinn but dressed as a pirate. That's why they're pushing it so hard, is they're trying to get that like hot topic, like trend crowd to go see this movie.
Well, Mrs. Church brings it up in the...
You think it's going to work?
Mrs. Church in the chat brings up something that I was kind of thinking about tangentially. Apparently, in 2019, Margot Robbie has a Tank Girl movie that was announced. And I think, Dillard, as a comic fan, you and
Wasn't it in that whole wave of canceled movies?
Yeah, I think it was. But Dillard, as an old school comics fan, I think, you've been reading comics for a while, right?
God, how many times I gotta say this? I hate comics. They're for babies.
You just draw them.
You're just a capitalist. And
I just draw comics and I sell them to people that think they have good ideas.
Okay, so you don't really know anything about Tank Girl. And you're gonna have to tell me every time. Okay, you're gonna have to tell me every time because usually I'm. Margot Robbie being tapped as Tank Girl after playing this revamped version of Harley Quinn that they've been trying to model after Tank Girl for God knows how long. As soon as they dropped the true Harley Quinn outfit with the bodysuit and the big bulbs coming off the head, as soon as they got rid of that, they've been pushing for a more Tank Girl-esque Harley Quinn in the comics and now in the movies.
I can see that.
I wonder how Margot Robbie would react to being typed up like that.
I mean,
she would like it.
Yeah, she'd get to bang a kangaroo.
Yeah, Charlize Theron did that, didn't she?
Was that her?
No, she did do that, but Charlize Theron did, bottled up and dyke up a bit in one of her recent movies. It was Mad Max.
I just want to take this time to point out that the opinions of the panels and the language they use is not reflected by the by the Church of Failure.
Except mine.
That's the archetype.
Just when we get banned, know you're banning me because of them, not anything that I said.
I'm sorry. I can't even understand this foreign guy. I don't know what he's saying.
Oh no, bro.
That's okay. Nobody can.
You have to be able to hear in a Scottish accent, kind of like hearing in a foreign language.
Difficult.
You have to be drunk.
I'm American, but I went back to the motherland. I'm currently back in Mexico.
Are you really?
I couldn't take it in California.
Wow.
Mexico's better than California. Is that what you're saying?
By leaps and bounds.
Probably is, no.
Water that makes you shit yourself just when you wash your hair is better than dealing with all the.
No. I'm not in Minnesota. I'm in Mexico.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
Also, you're thinking about Flint, Michigan, not Minnesota.
As soon as I said it, I realized it.
Well, Ayrton is
let go because you're professional. But
go ahead.
I was gonna say the food in Mexico though will cause you to have a cesarean fart.
Like out of the front. Ew.
Chad Middleton wants close-ups of Margot Robbie's feet.
The food in Mexico is second to none.
So
finally, I'd rather look at Margot Robbie's feet than Uma Thurman's, for God's sake.
Or Brie Larson's. I mean, if you want, Chad, I'll search up Margot Robbie's feet and make church posts.
Please do that.
Stream.
Sure, why not? While you do that, we're going to jump into to 1602. and recap issues 1 and 2 of that. I'll save the rest of the news for either the end of the episode or Monday's show. But last episode, this is why novel.
What is 1602?
Okay, 1602.
What is all this dead air? What is 1602?
60, motherfucker.
That's a year.
Yes. 1602 is a Marvel storyline, 8
stuttering.
issues. If you will stop fucking interrupting me. 1602 is an 8-part Marvel story. Son of a bitch! I'm gonna mute everybody, all of you.
You can just let me do my show.
Fuck you. All right. 1602 is an 8-part Marvel. You know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna mute everybody. That's what I'm gonna do. You know what? I don't even have to do that. I'm just gonna go into a different room. I'll just go into another room. They don't have to. They don't have to be part of this. I can get my goddamn spiel out as it is. They don't have to hear it. Fuck them. Nah, I gotta get back in there. Now, 1602 is basically an 8-part Marvel series in which the Marvel Universe...
Kick yourself instead of muting us?
Well, it's easier for me to do that because they'll still hear me and they can't hear you.
God damn it.
It's quicker than muting all 3 of you. Now...
That's fair.
Yeah.
I do have to go grab another beer, though, while you do the introduction.
Okay.
Yeah, you do that.
Yeah, now. We have 1602, which is an 8-part Marvel series that takes place in the year 1602, which is why we have Novel Bro on the show.
Me though, right?
Now we can, yes. Which is why we have Novel Bro on the show, because of his, amateur historian past and whatnot. He has some ideas of the era and the time period, the clothing, all of that good shit. So he's here to tell us what's accurate and inaccurate of the time period in the book. Now, all of the Marvel characters that we know and love kind of get a nod, from Daredevil to the X-Men to the Avengers, and it's pretty interesting to see how it plays out. That's what 1602 is, Dillard. Any other questions? You fuck.
I was in the chat. I wasn't really paying attention to what you were saying.
Okay, good. I'm not explaining it a 5th time. It's written by Neil Gaiman, illustrated by...
putting a little emojis of tacos.
Why did I let you on the show again? Like, that was...
I don't know why you ever let him on the show.
Okay.
I'm here to fill the dead air.
Okay, alright. The dead air with this dick.
That's what opening cans of beer for.
That's right.
Okay, fucking breathe.
Yeah, we've got it written by Neil Gaiman, illustrated by Andy Kubert, lettered by Todd Klein, and digitally painted and colored by Richard Itzanove. Covers by Scott McCowan and edited in chief by Joe Quesadilla. So, moving on, picking up from where we left off, we've been introduced to our characters, which include Doctor Strange, Nick Fury, Peter Parker, Matt Murdock. Anybody else that I missed? Oh, the X-Men, obviously. Magneto and the Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, the first X-Men.
Yeah.
And a reference to the Fantastic Four as well.
Yes, a reference to the Fantastic Four. Virginia Dare, who we assume turned into a griffin at the end of the last issue. And a giant blonde Native American with blue eyes.
Rojas!
Yes. So, with that, we jump right into issue 3. You've got a bit of a recap. It shows that things have been going on, and it's all told from the perspective of a narrator, which kind of brings me back to something that I really like in certain comic books by good writers, is that when the issue is being colored, they'll actually slightly tint the text boxes and thought balloons and stuff like that in order to show that this is a character that we haven't necessarily met on screen, but it is a different, entity than the person we've been following so far. So you get a recap. You see Nick Fury, you see Matt Murdock, you see Xavier and Magneto and Angel, Doctor Doom, who they call Doom the Handsome. You see the Griffith and the Queen and the silhouette of Doctor Strange and Peter Parker and the Native American Rojaj are scaling the wall to meet Doctor Strange and start to recuperate Virginia Dare, who again has been turned into a griffin. This explains why Strange was
a white griffin, which might be racist.
It probably is. Every animal she turns into is white. You know who Virginia Dare is, right?
That's racist.
Leave me out of this. I don't know what this is.
You don't know who Virginia Dare is?
Here? Bring me some goddamn tacos.
I used to know this guy. We used to
clean my house.
Used to drive around. We used to drive. We were like security. We used to drive around these girls to stripping appointments. And it's easy to get jobs when you're a big dude, So it's like we used to do that. And then like one day I came to work and my buddy had put on the side of our van, Dillard's Taco Delivery.
Nice. Excellent. I mean, that's
left it on there. It was great.
Double entendre. I enjoy it. Anyway, Virginia Dare was the first child supposedly born in the newly founded Americas. So that's where her importance comes in because
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening again. She was the first what?
Child born in the newly formed Americas.
No, she was the first child born in the new colonies. Technically, the child of Thorfinn.
You remember when Dillard said that we're saying the same
European?
You remember when Dillard said that we were saying the same thing? You just think that
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
So this is like a Pocahontas thing, and this guy in the bottom with the goatee is like Radigan.
She's the.
No, that's Strange. That's Doctor Strange.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Doctor Strange, Peter Parker. There's a gag that Peter Parker can't climb. He's staying out of this.
That's a hilarious gag.
He knows what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about, but my point stands is that she was
Scottish fuck.
Advertised as being the first person born in the new Americas. So, moving on.
I don't know if I like that wording.
I don't like you. So, they capture the bitch, and they get her into a healing circle, and she transforms back into an actual human person after being captured in a net, and, had some witchcraft applied to her before Nick Fury could figure out what's happened to her. So, that's the kind of story there. So, apparently she has animal shape-shifting powers. That's what we walk away from. That's what we spend five pages of the opening story on before we check back in with Magneto and an envoy from who is it? The Citadel, not the Citadel. What's the fucking word I'm looking for? The Vatican. Excuse me.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. So.
Church didn't know the word for the Vatican.
I wanted to. I was thinking. To be fair, I was
stranger.
I was talking about the Spanish Inquisition, and then I was like, they're in a cave, so I was like, Citadel? No, fuck you. Anyway, the envoy from the Vatican attempts to kill Magneto and fails miserably because he is using a steel blade. So that doesn't work too well with Magneto, and Magneto murders the envoy and sends his his son Quicksilver to basically convey with everyone else in the meantime before they realize this guy's dead, knowing that he had some limited time there. It's a lot of setup, and I don't know. First off, this is the first point that I wanted to ask you a question about novel. Yeah, go ahead.
No. In fact, I'll probably spoil it because it's going to get to that anyway. But anyway, I'll let you ask your question. But yeah, it's just concerning the runner.
Oh no, go ahead.
Novel, you got one job. This is your job.
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, you could.
But yeah,
the books have been out for over 2 decades now, almost. So.
Fair enough. They're not going anywhere.
So, what were you going to ask about the Grand Inquisitor?
But yeah, basically. Oh no, not about the Grand Inquisitor. Not ask about him, but basically the Grand Inquisitor has just basically sent a twink to King James's abode. So he just basically sent like a little bit of fresh meat, man, because they did like both genders. They didn't mind a bit of the Hadrian action.
He took after the Greeks of old.
Yeah, he used to make them barons and all sorts. Oh, trust me, you look at the history of that, you'd be like, holy fuck, this dude wasn't fucking.
I'm surprised you're a fan of King James then now, bro.
Hey, as long as he, sired children, as long as he was the top, then, he could be as Roman as he wanted to be, I suppose. But as long as it was stated from the get-go that his ass wouldn't get,
So as long as you do the penetrating and don't get penetrated.
Yeah, man. As long as they're twinks, as long as the twinks are doing their best to be the old boy. It goes into the all-caps gay argument as well. I personally think they're gay, but fair play, more power to the dude. But doing that in the 1600s.
And being the king.
So I got a historical question. What is this tiny little knife here? Is that historically accurate?
That's what I was going to go with. Yes. No, that's what I was going to ask Novel Bro before we got off on King James and sexual indiscretions.
We'll get to that anyway. There'll be plenty of that to come. But the knife itself, most blades at the time were usually meant to be small, handled because they're meant to be quickly gripped. But the way he's using it, that he's holding it all wrong. Basically, the pommel should be coming out. Basically, is like the bit between his index and his thumb, where the blade would be coming out is the bottom. He's fucking
almost like a knuckle.
Ice pick grip is what he should be doing.
Yeah, man, like proper fucking murderer stuff. But that was the actual assassin's method because that would allow for the best penetration. And
so
also,
you're saying that he needs to hold it between the webbing of his thumb and his forefinger, like you would a pencil to draw.
No. That was, no. See the pommel? That's like the very bottom of the knife. Now the hilt.
Oh, okay. So you want him to hold it in his thumb and his middle finger, as though he was masturbating.
Yes.
Yeah. All right then. We'll go with that analogy. But basically, the blade is balls, basically.
Yeah, basically you're supposed to be like shanky, not stabby.
Yeah, shit got real gay, real quick.
I mean, Dillard's here. What do you want?
That's what happens when we let Dillard out.
We ordered hot dogs instead of tacos tonight, apparently.
We don't like them that young, fuck's sake.
So.
Whoa, what is this guy talking about?
I don't know.
I was talking about Pizzagate there.
Oh, no.
Oh, my goodness.
Rein it back in a little bit now, bro. Rein it back in. We don't.
I just about this entire episode.
Yeah, we got sidetracked real quick. But back onto the knife. The design itself is relatively decent for that time because it's after the Middle Ages, just at the end of the Renaissance. So the overall, design of blades would have been more ornate like that. And yeah, that's for size. Thing as daggers go, it could have been any size from the grip size to the blade size. It could have been any, but mostly they were ranging from about 5.5 inch long blades.
So it's mainly about the motion of the ocean, as it were.
That's correct.
Or the end result, really.
So I'm actually going to breeze.
Something squirts out when you're done.
I'm actually going to breeze over a little bit of the next section because we spend
I wonder
what
why.
1, 2, 3, 4 pages almost on Jean Grey and Angel having a sordid like meeting in the garden or whatever. Except Angel thinks that Jean Grey is the boy.
Gay, being homosexually not gay.
Yes.
Maybe Angel has the King James leaning, like maybe he's really looking for that boy pussy. But...
Jesus Christ. Okay.
At least we can breeze over it now.
Everybody that had boy pussy on your bingo cards, go ahead and mark that off.
That during this. Hold on, I need to find a Bible to start reading.
But after that little bit of a sordid thing with the X-Men, they skip over to everyone's favorite assassin, Matt Murdock, and he meets up with Black Widow in a bar and proceeds to whip the shit out of all of the guards and steal their horses. Because he's Irish.
Yes. And Natasha Romanoff, of course, she's got that roguish, streak.
Well, okay, so I want to bring up something that's kind of cool about him being Irish and being blind with a cane.
Okay.
So there's actually an entire Irish martial art based around fighting with a cane or what
a shillelagh.
As a shillelagh, and yeah. So that I thought that was a cool little touch how they kind of like threw that in there.
Yeah, and there's also a little bit of lore to that as well. How Hibernian Celts taught that to Brythonic Celts, and that's how you'll sometimes see quarterstaff fighting in like the southwestern tip, like the Cornish tip of.
Oh, Lordy Lou, I can't understand it.
Just drink more, Dillard. God damn it!
Yeah, you get there eventually.
On this show so far.
This one here.
Sorry, what was that question for me?
Just go pour yourself a whiskey and catch up to.
I'm trying to groom and manipulate the women in your chat. I'm trying to open up Dillard's taco delivery.
Excuse me, I got to go ban Dillard for my YouTube chat.
It's a good thing I didn't sign that pledge.
Taco 12 pack, you must continue your legacy. How's it going, Kimberly? Welcome to the show. I apologize for Dillard. Anyway, moving on. You cut back over to the Queen of England, where she has received a gift from Otto von Doom. Now, this is something that I really have a problem with, Novel Bro. After Matt Murdock and Black Widow steal a horse, you cut over to the scene with the Queen. She's having a conversation with Nick Fury. Nick Fury leaves, and he sees this statue thing delivered by Otto von Doom, the Handsome. A ruling dictator.
Nothing about it.
Hold on. A ruling dictator, somebody who, obviously has people informing on him, all of that good shit. And Nick Fury's just like, this is remarkable. What will he come up with next? Without investigating it, nobody looked into it. I have a feeling that in this time and place, especially with an ill queen, somebody would have dismantled this fucking thing and put it back together before she ever saw it.
Look at all these goddamn words on this comic book. Why even have pictures? What the fuck is
this? Hey, some of us know how to read, Dillard.
Don't lie, Ayrton.
We'll review a pop-up book and have you come on for that.
My God, we reviewing like fucking Wuthering Heights or something?
Look, I enjoy the story. Go fuck yourself. Got a shit on everything.
See, Church, back then you didn't really have dictators. Shut up, Dillard. You didn't really have dictators. You don't got
had
monarchs.
or despots.
That's what you call an Irish pimp, a dictator.
Shut up, Ayrton. No,
dictate whatever they want.
Novel Bro, though, am I incorrect in assuming that somebody would have just ripped the thing apart and put it back together before she ever even saw it? Or did they just kind of like,
Yeah,
oh no,
so
you got a gift. Here you go. It might kill you. I don't know. Foreshadowing.
There would have been a little bit of poking around testing, and there would have been a lot. Whoever would have brought it, chances are would have been the person who would have made it. Usually,
right?
Because if it's your creation, your brainchild, it would be you who presents it.
You don't just anonymously send shit over like a Trojan horse.
Not unless it's money or something like that.
Well, I mean, this is like a music box, a statue, or something like that, and you're both important people. Like, I can understand having an envoy deliver something like this, but it actually getting to the queen without being inspected really fucks with me a little bit.
Yeah, that should have been on Nick Fury's desk before anything else.
Let me, put a different perspective on that. The way he just so cavalierly said, like, oh, what will he come up with now? That assumes, like, he sent a lot of, like, weird shit to her that hasn't harmed her, so you could make the assumption that they've checked out other stuff and it's been fine, so they're like, oh,
Also, if you're an envoy, don't you have some sort of a diplomatic status where people wouldn't fuck with you normally?
No, not then.
No.
Not if you were to take a little walk towards the Turkish court. If you were found to be in league with any Greeks, you probably wouldn't have a head anymore.
And don't kill the messenger.
Envoys, just say, I come on behalf of the Queen of England. You're like, oh, here you were talking to the Greeks last week. Come here. Oh, yalla, oh, mashallah. Oh, chop his head.
But
hold on, real quick.
The way Fury said that, let me finish my point.
Okay, go.
The way Fury said that, it comes across like, that Doom has sent many, many things to the Queen to just amuse her, so it wouldn't really raise suspicion. Like, at this point, if I got a package, like, from you, Church, I would just open it. You could put anthrax in there. I wouldn't even check.
I've already put anthrax in everything
I've
sent you.
Master fucking...
Oh, okay. That's why my toes feel funny.
Okay.
Go ahead, Novel Bro. Hello?
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, not for, in general, like, that probably wouldn't have passed without at least some sort of inspection, because there wasn't just, like, Master of, Defense or whatever. There would have been other offices and titles of people who would have had their hands on it, like curators and such, before they would have given it to the Queen. Like, she would have known it would have been coming ahead of time. And to be fair, I like Ayrton's point, because it shows that Otto von Doom is taking effort to lower suspicions and taking time to do that. So whenever he sent the real fucked up one, that they'd be like, oh, it's another one of his cool inventions. I like that, So yeah, there would have been a lot of time and devotion to lowering suspicions like that, because fucking hell, you'd have to do a lot to, lower suspicions of a German fucking, baron or whatever fucking rank he has. I don't think he's the Kaiser. Not for shit at that point.
So, okay, and Dillard, real quick, political envoys didn't really get a pass unless you were at war with each other. Don't shoot the messenger pretty much only applies during time of war. If somebody traveled under a white flag,
trying to make conversation.
Okay,
leave me alone.
Fuck you. I love you, Dillard. You're the best.
I don't actually fucking care about envoys and their political status.
Okay. I've been sitting here trying to answer that
you're
question.
Stuck on a stream with two
in 1602
while reading a historical fiction comic, so have fun.
So Peter Parker ends up at Doctor Strange's house, and we have another kind of tease with the spider, in which Doctor Strange actually saves Peter from being bitten by the spider at this point. And then you have the music box being presented to the Queen as, pretty much immediately after it's received, which is kind of what drew my suspicion about it anyway. But during this time, Nick Fury's on his way down to the dungeons where they have a captured assassin, and he takes off his fluffy shirt and gives the assassin a sword, and they proceed to start dueling. And Nick Fury just beats the living shit out of this
assassin his sword.
Oh, right. He throws his sword to the guy. I thought they were gonna have a sword fight because of two swords there. You're right.
Yeah.
But yeah, he stops the sword on his forearm and proceeds to beat the living fuck out of the envoy in order to make him talk.
Let me just say, I have an issue with this part because I was trying to do some left-handed like rapier, training, and I went to do
as you do.
Yes, as you do. I did fencing in high school. Shut up, Dillard.
Yeah, we're in the business of collecting swords now. It's a new.
Oh God, are you those kind of people?
Yes, we are.
Absolutely.
So, anyways, I went to do like a flourish into a thrust, and in my left hand or the offhand, and my right hand was sitting wrong.
Please bully him for this, Dillard.
And I nicked my hand with the blade, and oh my God, it hurt like a motherfucker. There is no way you could just stop a blade with your forearm and then punch somebody in the face.
I mean, maybe if you were actually tough.
Okay, I've been run over. I've fallen out of trees.
Yes, but have you ever...
Sounds like you don't have no kind of balance or dexterity.
Yeah, I mean, have you ever just beaten someone into submission with your bare hands? Every day for 30 years.
I mean, normally I go for like a submission, but...
Ayrton's like, no, I signed the comic book pledge. I promise to stop doing that to women.
I did sign that comic book pledge.
I'm sorry.
Have you ever just walked around a day in your life and the Benny Hill soundtrack was not playing?
No, I haven't, Dillard. What does that mean?
No, it's always playing.
What does it mean?
See, and I signed the pledge, church.
Ayrton's like that guy in the commercial trying to find the lamp in the dark and the clap on commercial.
Yes. Oh, dude, I want a fucking clapper. Man, I should get one of those. That'd be so nice. I'm on Amazon that shit.
I'm trying to put the batteries in his remote, fucking breaking his window and shit.
Dillard, I'm going to need you to charge back that $2 so it doesn't go towards the clapper.
You should just change it to the clapper fund.
I'm the most analog motherfucker you will ever meet. It's a wonder I can work this goddamn iPad and do this show.
We need to get a goal set up on screen where it's just like the goal to getting Ayrton a clapper.
Yes.
The calamities befall Ayrton everywhere he goes. We got to buy this guy a fucking helmet.
I have several.
God almighty, don't admit that on air.
I ride a motorcycle. I have a few different helmets.
I know why you have helmet. Never mind. Let's just get into issue 4. Jesus Christ. So
you're the one that let Dillard on. You know this happens every time.
I know this happens regardless of who's here and who isn't. If you're breathing and I'm breathing, the show is going to be terrible.
But Dillard makes it worse.
I love Dillard.
Dillard makes it worse.
I don't like it when my children fight.
Since when do you like Dillard?
Anyway, jumping into issue 4.
He likes me. This guy's a queer.
That's correct. I'm the big gay for Dillard. Me and Chad actually have a secret fan club, Big Gay for John Dillard.
Church wants Dillard's boy as novel bro.
Now I gotta figure out how to monetize this fan club.
This show really got sidetracked after boy
Start me an
Dillard,
OnlyFans.
you're the reason I drink.
I hate all of you.
I apologize to Planet Earth for sidetracking the show like this. I'm sorry.
So,
You just can't talk about King James around me. I get all riled up.
Oh no, we're getting there. King James.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
Didn't get there.
It's actually a thing that happens in this book. The Queen dies at the end of issue 3. By the way, it's revealed that Doctor Doom was the guy that sent the assassins, and by the time you realize this, you cut back over to Queen Elizabeth and her. She's just kind of laying there dead. After Nick Fury realizes that he allowed the implement. Yeah, after Nick Fury realizes that he allowed his, the assassin the assassin was sent by the guy that he allowed the gift to come from. Blah. So, issue 4 starts out, Virginia Dare wakes up, and they explain to her what's happened to her. She explains to him that it's not the first time this has happened all over the colonies or whatever. Strange explains that the Queen is dead and her entire reason for coming is pretty much null and void because now she has to deal with King James. You get kind of a rundown because there's so many story threads going on at one time. You get the rundown of the Templar that's supposed to be being met by Matt Murdock. You ask about Peter Parker, and then you cut back over to Nick Fury attending King James. So here he is, Dillard, King James. He finally appeared in the story.
My boy.
Are you showing something?
I pulled it down to get the page ready. I don't want to go through page by page and let Marvel strike it down. But
and there'll be a delay as well.
Another one of your favorite pages that has entirely too many words on it. Basically, where they're having a conversation.
You're going to give Dillard an aneurysm with this much text.
Well, I mean, I thought you didn't like him. What's your problem?
Well, we don't want to be responsible for an aneurysm.
I'm not going to be responsible for anything.
I mean, I just want Dillard to stub his toe when he gets up to pee in the middle of the night. That's it.
So, you fucking monster. Now,
how old do you think I am? I don't get up in the middle of the night to pee.
Don't.
How bad is your bladder?
I thought you were diabetic. I thought you peed like 17 times a day and sugar made you sleepy.
Yeah, but I don't eat sugar.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, that's kind of how you do it. Do you drink diet sodas?
Yeah.
You don't eat carbs? What kind of communist are you that doesn't eat carbs?
Look, carbs turn into sugar, you jackass.
Fucking hell, man.
Yeah, but fucking bagels? I love me a bagel.
Did you say butt fucking?
Yes.
Yes.
Nasty ass.
It keeps with the theme of the show.
I want to fuck somebody in the ass while eating a bagel with cream cheese. That's my Saturday night after the show, Dillard.
I hate all of you so much. Can we just get back to the comic book?
Again, you let him on.
I witnessed it happen as soon as James turned up.
He hasn't said anything in like half an He hasn't said anything in like half an hour. You're the one fucking antagonizing him the whole time.
I can't help it. His voice is more smooth and sensual than mine is, and it makes me jealous.
Okay, now we have a reason at least. So
I just have cancer voice at 29.
Novel Bro, at the introduction of I'm just Southern. I don't have to make excuses. I sound atrocious all the time. It's fantastic. With the introduction of King James. In this particular issue, where he has assumed the role of King of England, he's planning on making his sojourn to England proper to claim the title. How does this?
Can you use regular English?
No, I can't. How does this kind of stack up with how this transition would take place, and historically, how was it decided that King James would just basically become the King of England?
No, this
I
is
would
quite
probably
a
have an
funny
opinion on it
process.
if I knew what the fuck sojourn meant.
A journey.
Get a fucking dictionary. God damn it.
Yeah, well, in any case, the process of James turning from the King of Scotland into the King of England also, it was actually quite a relatively simplistic process at the time, because most people were, doing the old Tim Pool thing, like, I don't care if you have your little scrap, just leave me alone.
So it was just
And that was
generally
pretty much the
accepted, like,
majority of people, and the majority of people were all right with them going on to the crown, because the crown needed, it needed someone to wear it. It needed
but
someone to assume leadership so the country could keep running.
Elizabeth didn't have anyone in line for succession. Like, she didn't like King James, so you would assume that something would have been done about that.
Yeah, there was no heirs or anything like that. It was just a lifetime of disappointments with Elizabeth, if you look at it.
Elizabeth
She had
I was
interest.
the Virgin Queen, right?
Yeah, she had interest in that, but none of it ever worked out. So she always ended up just being like the untouchable.
Okay. So it was just decided that he would become king.
James. Yeah, well, it's not just that, right? You got to remember that Queen Mary and Queen Elizabeth were both, distantly related in some fashion or other, because their houses had been joined, like, before, right after Robert's rebellion, basically, like King Robert the Bruce's rebellion,
Right.
So, like, he did have a claim. He was the only one really who had such a strong claim. It was the natural step to take after all the shit that happened to his mother. He decided, fuck it, I'm a man now. I'm going to take that fucking crown.
Well, how I understand it is James basically just walked into London and slapped his dick down on the throne and said, "This is mine now, motherfuckers."
Yeah, that's because the locals were like, "Oh, fucking king, yes." They actually were all right about it. That's the thing about the history. People don't want to admit it, but the small folk, the peasantry, they're like, "Fucking yes, James is in town, man. Fucking Chad's going to take the crown."
Which amazes me, because from what I can tell, to this day, the Brits and the Scots hate each other. Right? Am I wrong about that?
I think you're thinking of the English and the Irish.
No, the Scots hate everybody.
Yeah, there was a bit of complication. yeah. Well, Scots hate everybody. Everybody hates Scotland. It's mutual.
White people got nothing but hate in their hearts.
But I thought the British specifically saw it like, to this day, see Scotland as kind of like, backwards and barbaric.
Yeah, I think you're just until they started representing, the nation and stuff. But King James also had a little bit of the Anglo blood in him, so he was sort of accepted into the gang when he walked down the south of the border, because he was treating people along the countryside with respect along the way. He was playing the hearts and minds game on the way down. He would still have his tussles with those who wanted to resist, but he played the good game. He played the proper dynastic game.
Okay.
Well,
and he probably spoke like German or French at the time as well, right? So he didn't sound like you did, is what I'm getting at.
Hey guys, I got to run to the store and get some smokes. But if I'm not back when you finish, goodbye.
All right. Well, we'll still be here.
We're gonna finish before you get back. Don't worry.
But we might not be done with the episode.
Crime and shame, but I guess I'll see you guys next time.
All right, buddy. Have a good one. Thanks for dropping in.
See you, Dillard.
Stay safe, man.
All right. So after the brief introduction of King James by Nick Fury, we're brought back to Matt Murdock and the Black Widow, and again, these are these are archetypes that, while I like the introduction of characters, I'll go back to my rant previously. I don't like the fact that they're just using the characters blatantly instead of just making an archetype of that character. Like they just, I get why they did it with hindsight of knowing the end of the story, but it doesn't feel right. Like I don't like seeing Matt Murdock in a canonical sense being born in 1602 when he was supposed to be born. Like, I want to see the ramifications of Matt Murdock not being around in modern times if I'm going to see Matt Murdock in 1602, right?
I want to see. Yeah, I want to see his ancestor instead of him. You know, like an old
well, I think that's the reason.
Older Murdoch. You know, like a Cedric.
Like a Seamus Murdoch.
Right.
Yes, somebody who was previously bitten by the curse and it would be kept in the bloodline, held in until somebody would turn blind again, would then have those genetics reawakened in them thanks to old Seamus Murdoch's. It would make more sense to the continuum.
Or Ayrton Murdoch. I mean, Ayrton is
don't get flashy.
Scottish Celtic name. So
don't get flashy, Ayrton. Calm down. We're not in this for profit, sir. Now,
yes, and also, we are.
Oh well, yeah, maybe.
Ayrton is also quite a big name in Portugal.
That's right.
That's true.
You and Dillard might be long lost brothers. You don't know.
Scotland, which, well, from what I can tell, is Ayrton comes from Ayrshire, which turned into Ayrtown and then Ayrton. But I can't really find anything definitive on where my name actually comes from.
Yeah, it sounds about right in any case. I'll do some looking into it later. Let's not annoy.
I've been looking for like 10 years, Novel Bro. If you can find something definitive, I'll send you a.
I'll suck your dick, man. Sorry.
I won't go that far. It's just a fucking name. Calm down, Church.
That's don't be a menace in South Central while drinking your juice in the hood reference. But
yo, man, I got these cheeseburgers, man.
Novel Bro gets it. But anyway, during their travels, Murdoch is entirely too trusting of Black Widow and gets bashed on the head by a bottle of wine. Apparently hard enough to break the bottle, which is a fucking humongous strike. Have you ever tried to break a wine bottle over someone's head?
Never trust a woman you're crossing a radial bridge with a horse.
What'd you say, Novel Bro?
It never ends up well.
Especially a fucking wine bottle of that design. They would have been thick as fuck. Would have taken a proper smash.
But she hits him over the head and sends him careening off the side of a canyon. So at this point, we're led to believe that Matt Murdock, the Daredevil, is dead. Don't believe the hype. He comes back. But this is where we kind of get an idea that...
spoiler alert.
Yeah. This is where we kind of get an idea that the Black Widow is working for somebody not of wholesome qualities there. But we cut back over to Fury and Peter Parker, who is in Fury's service. And the Crown has ordered Fury to bring in Xavier and his servants or whatever, or his students.
Javier.
Yeah. And we also find out that James believed that the Spanish Inquisition is responsible for killing the Queen, and
nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
Apparently, in this time frame, everyone expects the Spanish Inquisition. So that's probably where Magneto kind of fell off. But
give her
he
with the cushion.
He kind of alludes to the fact that basically their time is limited. And again, this is a very jumpy time in the book, but it's trying to weave together all the plot threads. You go back to Latveria, where Doom is centralized, and he's doing experiments bringing frogs to life. And he takes his hood off for the first time.
Yeah,
in this section,
I
and you
understand
see
where you're going with that.
you get to see Doom the Handsome in his glory, and then he goes down and he has a conversation.
I wonder if he's gonna stay that way.
Oh yeah. But he has a conversation with one of the servants while heading down into a cavern type place. This cavern becomes very important for the rest of the story. Peter arrives at the Javier school.
Real quick, I want to ask. I want to ask Novel Bro. So Doom's armor, from what I understand, by this point in history, full plate armor like that was not really a thing. Am I correct on that?
It's not like when you're talking full plate, like of the medieval style. Maneuverability and accepting that you're probably going to lose limbs at some point became a factor, and obviously line combat became more pike oriented.
Well, and so firearms, right?
Pardon?
And firearms.
Oh, yeah, it came about that, but there was also big maintenance of the pike formation still, because they were still using horses in combat in the 1800s, and they were still, and then the Ottomans still had janissaries running about with swords only in the 1800s as well.
Well, I mean, when was the Highland Charge invented? That was like late 17th century, right? Or like early 18th century?
I think it was actually late 16th.
Really?
Yeah, because obviously the arquebusiers, or the arquebus and the flintlock pistol came out about then. Yeah, the 1500s was quite a wild time, because that's when
that's fair. I could have swore that battle tactic was later though, which plate armor like this would do nothing against a military tactic like that.
It was originally intended for like strong lines of men who would have either bayonets or pikes fixed. It was supposed to throw them off their ease by the the speed of their advance.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Chad Middleton in the chat asked a very pertinent question. Is Doom checking to see if the frogs are gay? Yes.
Yes.
But anyway.
Or at least bringing back the Pepe.
Parker arrives at the X-Men school and is immediately subdued by Beast, and you kind of get the spiel that Parker's there to warn them that Fury's on his way to take them all captive.
Putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
Oh, thank you, Alex. Yeah, I don't think they're putting chemicals in the water just yet, but they are doing experiments that might turn the frogs gay, so we should be prepared.
Electroshock gayness.
But we find that most of the X-Men, with the exception of Javier, and Jean/John Gray, are basically all prepared to fight for their freedom or whatever. And he's like, we gotta.
I'm sorry. I still wish they would have swapped Angel out with Nightcrawler in this. It would have been so much better. Anyways, continue.
Well, the thing is anybody born looking like Nightcrawler wouldn't even make it to being a teenager unless they were already in hiding. That's the thing. Like you at least can believe that Angel could hide his wings, kind of thing.
But they allude to Angel's like mother hiding him, like hiding his wings and shit from the Inquisition. Right,
but you can't hide being a blue fur covered, demon looking character.
I'm just, when you can teleport though, and when you can blend into shadows, sure, yeah, you can.
Look, I wish they wouldn't have used any real characters, much less Nightcrawler. But after this, you kind of get
just because the ending.
Go ahead.
The ending of this story is the only thing that fucks it up. Other than that, if they would have just not done that fucking thing with Rojas, it would have been fine. It would have been cool just the way it was. Anyway, continue.
All right.
Church, are you there?
I'm here. I muted myself so that I could sneeze.
More Alex Jones?
I sneezed.
Oh, right.
I have the coof. Calm down.
Oh, no. Yeah.
But you get a proper...
He's got the Rona.
You get the proper backstory for Virginia Dare.
Case of that Mexican beer.
Yep. You get the backstory for Virginia Dare and Rojas. The motherfuckers, let me talk! Son of a bitch! Alright. For the 5th time, you get the backstory for Virginia Dare and Rojas in this little montage here.
You get the backstory for who?
Virginia Dare and Rojas.
Oh, okay.
I fucking hate you so much. You get the feeling that America definitely still has some of the Savage Land left in it because there are dinosaurs, which I did appreciate as a nice little touch, bringing in the Savage Land to the mix.
I thought that was fun.
You get the explanation of, and Novel Bro, for you, I don't know if you're familiar with the Savage Land. It's a piece of X-Men lore where there's just a small island or plot of land somewhere that never kind of grew out of the prehistoric age.
It's supposed to be in the magnetic South Pole in Antarctica. It's basically
sometimes
what the world was
it
like.
It moves around a lot.
100,000 years ago. Yeah. Well, typically it's in the South Pole.
Well, I mean,
are we talking Admiral Byrd stuff here?
Huh?
What was that?
Are we talking like Admiral Byrd's, like southern, like
yes.
polar expert? All right, fair enough. But yeah, don't worry, exactly. I'm red pilled to that as well.
But that's something that comes up in X-Men comics. You get an explanation for the weather that set off the entire storyline. The red lightning and the blood red skies and all that good shit.
which I think is a neat nod, real quick, to the younger Dryas climate catastrophe novel, bro, which was either a coronal mass ejection or a comet hitting the neighborhood. We're still not sure, but if it was a coronal mass ejection, which I believe it was, that's a nice little nod to that, I think.
Absolutely, especially if you're talking like red skies and shit like that.
Oh yeah, massive lightning storms and shapes in the sky that look like gods. Shit.
Oh, not to mention, once all that would be, done, that the skies would be fucking ashen for months upon months months.
Which remind me after the show, Celtic swords. Just remind me to ask you something about those.
All right, don't worry, we'll get to that. But yeah, I'll make a note. All
right.
Now, during the story, she also talks about something that she's found that was an anomaly. It was like a glowing entity or something that she fucked with. And shortly after that, she began to be able to, I don't know, transform into animals or something. And she was...
Well, she's not able to. It's more so forced upon her.
But, well, yeah, when she's upset or excited or something like that, she just transforms.
Or scared or, something like that.
So what we find out is that after her first transformation, she turns into a white doe and is found by Rojas and protected.
Aww.
and then a few times afterwards, she turns into a white cat, and then a white stallion, or whatever kind of horse.
Yes, which horses aren't indigenous to North America. They weren't brought over till like the late 1700s, I believe.
Right.
I believe it was earlier again. That was just at the end of the Reconquista. They would have taken the arquebuses over. That's we're talking Hernan Cortez here.
Well, yeah, I was going to say the Spaniards brought their own horses.
Think of like when I'm talking about like the American, like like Mustang, like stallion sort of horses. Those weren't introduced and like escaped or set free until like the 1800s.
Sounds about right. Colonial breed, and
right.
decisions come to decisions, and they have one too many horses.
Yeah.
And they haven't got enough money to keep them, and they can't exactly sell them because nobody can afford to buy them.
I mean, the Louisiana Purchase wasn't till like the mid 19th century, right?
Sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
anyways,
after all of this, after all of this backstory, you find out that Rohaj and Dr. Strange are the only ones that know about Virginia Dare's anomaly. And then you kind of skip back over to the traveling, what was it? I can't think of the organization's name now. The Traveling Templar.
Right.
But obviously, because Matt Murdock was supposed to meet him, that's not going to happen. You actually get Scarlet Witch meeting with the Templar, and looking through his hoard of things that he's carrying, and you discover this giant golden sphere. Go ahead.
So I just want to say, going back, looking at this, I love the foreshadowing of the staff.
Yep.
Don't want to spoil this until we get farther in through this, our next episode on the story, but the foreshadowing in these couple of panels is phenomenal. I don't know why I didn't catch it earlier, to be honest with you.
Right. But anyway, they take the Templar hostage.
Keep that in mind, folks. The staff. If you're familiar with Marvel lore, that's all I'm going to say. Not going to spoil anything else.
But the Templar shows up, and he's taken over by what we can only assume is Doom's guards because of their clothes. Anytime you see the color green, it's seemingly associated with Doom. But Matt Murdock.
In that case, they should be. Sorry. In that case, if they're associated with Doom, they couldn't be Templars. They're not French or
No.
They would be,
the Templar is the one who arrived. The old man. The people in green cloaks are there to subvert the Templar's gold and treasure. That's the
right. Different order. Right. Fair enough.
They're Latvian.
These guys could easily pass for being Teutonic, but green Teutonic, I don't know.
Right. No, these are Doom's Knights, and they take the Templar hostage, and Matt Murdock basically rescues him, and Black Widow's just like, hey, I assumed you didn't die. If you move one centimeter, we're gonna have you killed. So they arrest Matt Murdock and the Templar. They cart him off to Doom, and they assume that this golden sphere is the almighty Templar weapon that was being sent. And they're going to take everything to Doctor Doom, and this is where issue 4 ends up. So at the halfway point, a lot has happened. We've had a queen assassinated. We've learned that Otto von Doom is pulling the strings of everyone. James is on his way to take over England. He demands that Nick Fury and service to the crown arrest all the mutants. And, well, Matt Murdock, the Daredevil, has been basically arrested and chained up by Doctor Doom with the Templar. So, and we've learned everything there is to know about Virginia Dare. So, what
Just about.
Over these 2 issues, Novel Bro, what kind of stuff did you have any problems with, if any?
Well, just the fact that the Templars were still around for so long, but then there was the thing with these knights. I'm not too sure they would be dressing like that. And at the time, they would definitely be dressing a lot more flamboyantly, like Landsknechts and stuff.
Yeah, a lot more color and like a coat of arms on them.
Yeah,
surcoats and stuff.
Being a warrior, a swordsman, or a general soldier at that time, it was a profession by that point.
Now, what year did the Knights Templar get arrested and run out of France and all that stuff? I can't remember.
The early to mid 13th century. I'm sure it was sort of 1215 or something, or 1225 or something along those lines, when the Grand Master of the Order was burned at the stake by the French court.
Okay.
May have been a slow trickle down after that, but then new orders came out around this time. So by the 1600s, the Order of the Rosy Cross and the Jesuits were definitely a thing by this point.
Right. So would it be safe to say in this, anachronistic history, since the actual Knights Templar fled to the British Isles, for safe haven after the stake burning, would it be safe to say that there would be person left trying to get a weapon as powerful as they said it was from Jerusalem back to the UK without being caught by another force?
Like the Holy Grail?
Well, not exactly.
Well, hold on. To be fair, the allegory, hold on. The allegory for what they're supposedly transporting is, I believe, to be the Holy Grail. I think they're alluding to the fact that the weapon or the treasure that they're carrying is the Holy Grail, just not in the sense that we realize it canonically. Because of what it is, Ayrton, it makes sense.
Okay, that's fair. Okay.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Yeah, that works for me.
But wouldn't you say that kind of makes sense at this point in history if you were to do this anachronistic, Marvel universe 17th century?
If I was a Templar and the Order was still going as the Templars by this point, and let's just say for centuries, it would have been since 1200s up to the 1600s. That's 400 years of hiding and 400 years of wanting to go back to the Holy Land and retake Jerusalem.
Right.
By God, you'd want an ultimate weapon to do it.
Yeah. Well, and you can trace to, the Civil War in America, an order that I forget what they're called, but they trace their roots back to the Knights Templar. It's not the Rosicrucians, it's not the Jesuits. I can't remember what they're called at the moment, but they're kind of like an offshoot of the Knights Templar in the American South in the Civil War.
The Freemasons also claim to have roots in the.
They say that. But the Freemasons go back to Egypt.
That's one of the degrees of Freemasonry, reaching Templarhood and stuff, and that is an order of Templars of sorts as well. So they can trace that back, especially as far as the York and Scots, right?
Yeah, but you know who I'm talking about, right? Novel Bro, the order in the American South during the Civil War.
Yeah, I think so. I'm just trying to trace it back as well, because they're the ones who made the biggest reference to the right to divine.
Was it the early Knights of Columbus? Is that who I'm thinking of?
Maybe I think we're probably better off asking the actual Southerner.
Well, Church.
Around. I think he's.
Oh no, I'm sorry. No, I'm here. They don't actually teach you that kind of stuff very much anymore, but I do know that. And again, this is just from passing information, not because I have any affiliation, but when the Klan started up, led by Southern Democrats, they claim to have some holy links to the Knights Templar as well.
Yeah, I know lots of people have claimed it, but
that's what I'm saying. Like with as many people,
there's a specific group that it's actually legitimate. It seems like it could be legit in the South.
I know what you're talking about.
Absolutely, because they still harken back to look at the St Andrew's Saltire cross. You know, like that's like a Scottish saint that may have been of Templar origin and stuff like that. You know, like the divine right to rule also comes through that as well. So yes, like this is why I like Confederates. The more I learn about them, the more I want to be one.
The Knights of the Golden Circle.
Oh, right. Yeah. No, I don't know anything about those idiots.
They claim they can trace their origins back to the Knights Templar, which I see where they claim that. And that's a nice little nod in this comic, or is that the next issue that they revealed the... Oh, no, it's in this one, where they actually revealed when Black Widow reveals the Golden Sphere. Which, it's a cool little nod to that tradition.
I can see the association made there. Yeah.
But anyway, anything that you saw that might have been, we talked about what didn't work. What does work so far in this particular? I mean, obviously the King James angle, which there's a hell of a Shyamalan twist in a future edition of this.
Yeah, wait till you find out who King James is later.
Right.
Yeah. Luckily, that didn't happen in this issue. The Petros matter. We'll get to that later. But yeah, that was quite true to King James, I think. But also with the fact that he was King James was known to be quite let's just say, according to others, obnoxious. So he wasn't one for shying away from insulting others. I like that. I like that. It was true to his word there. And yes, they would have sounded a little bit Scottish there, but they would have used different terminology stuff. It would have sounded like a Scottish accent by then.
And historically, he was pretty, well, as we can assume from the King James Bible, he was pretty radically religious. He would have been against anything that seemed unnatural or from the devil, right?
Well, that was, I believe, more for the constituency as well, too, because the crown has often either sided heavily with the church or heavily against it, because the church used to have a whole lot more power, which is one of the reasons that our Constitution is founded off separation of church and state, because the Protestants that came over here.
King James.
Go ahead.
King James essentially invented the idea of the Church of England, right, Novel Bro? Not necessarily implemented it, but essentially came up with we should have a national church.
Oh yeah.
Well, that was a way of
essential Presbyterian nature. Yeah, absolutely.
That was
a Catholic.
Well, that was also a way of reining in the power of the church back into the crown. But
absolutely. Everybody wanted that two-headed eagle after all.
But yeah, a lot of the stuff that I like in regards to the historical side is the fact that they're weaving in natural history. Now, obviously, you can't expect them to get all the wardrobe stuff correct. I mean, I'm sure a lot of the artistic choices were...
It seems pretty accurate to me. For the most
part. A lot of the dress was quite, especially when we're talking the social dress of the noble.
But besides the armor, the armor thing is really bugging me. But
yeah, that does bug me. But besides that, when you're talking of the dressing leisurely, like, yeah, quite a lot of that is quite accurate. They did put a lot of time into research. I just wish they'd put more research into like how they did the warfare back then. They would have had a lot more fun with the basket hilt stuff,
Oh yeah, a nice Nick Fury should have had a nice Scottish basket hilt instead of that clamshell hilt rapier.
Oh, I like when you're properly talking with the red velvet inside, with the British shield pattern and stuff like that. That would have been beautiful.
Oh yeah,
that would have looked extra gangster on him as well.
So much better.
That made purple and everything.
Well, that's the other thing. Like, a common misconception about more medieval European history is that it was dark, dank, and you wore brown and cream and stuff like that. No, they loved color back then. You would have had bright reds and greens and yellows and oranges and stuff like that. Like, they're still people. They still want things to look nice.
Well,
exactly,
and that's what.
And by this point in history,
back then, and that's not true.
Right, and by this point in history, the technology would have been there to, create very colorful clothing and.
Yeah, but dyes were still very expensive. That was another thing. Like,
not really. Not really.
Well,
certain colors.
But the true thing is, right, when you're in a proper dye making plant, it would be expensive with the amount you're buying, but the reusability, you'd make that back in profit again and again and again. That's why being like to run your own dyes and stuff like that, to make your own like factories where you'd make the colored wools and things like that, you would make an absolute killing. Honestly,
well, by the early,
would be a merchant's gold mine there for working with dyes,
Easier to do by the early 17th century. By the early 17th century, they gotten it would have been pretty easy for your average person to make dyes to make their
learning to dry and powder stuff by then,
Right. You would have had the concept of it.
You can go back to.
Well, you would have had the concept of it. You would have had the ability to do it, but to actually do it properly and get those rich, vibrant colors, that was a master art still. Like, that was a trade.
No. But maybe back the 8th to 10th century, yes. By the time we get to the 17th century, would have been pretty easy.
Absolutely, because you wouldn't have needed fucking squid sperm to make the color purple,
Mm-hmm.
The Phoenicians needed to do that. That was the Carthaginians' predecessors. They needed it was actually squid ink, black squid ink, but once you ran the colors through it in water, it would come out purple.
Right. I mean, go back and look at the Renaissance, like the early 15th, 16th century, a couple hundred years before this. Massively vibrant colors and patterns and stuff in clothing for your average person.
You go to the Palazzo in Florence.
Oh,
I think it's Florence. Yeah, oh my days,
super flamboyant down in that area.
Absolutely. You look on the ceiling and you think, how the fuck did they get up there and put that much detail without falling the fuck down? Holy shit. The peak of all luxury. Everything here, even the columns have been painted with little sprites or little cherubs and stuff. You're like, holy fuck. People have spent years of just working on this place. No wonder nobody touches nothing.
Yeah, well, if you want to put it in a modern context, Church, it's like somebody buying fake Ray-Bans or fake Air Jordans today,
right?
To make them look like they're more important. They would have mixed colors together to get close to a purple or something that's what I'm getting at. Primary color.
But even then, the richness,
and it wouldn't have been that. It wouldn't have been that difficult. It just would have been the same as the squid ink and dye.
Let me put it into context of something that I can kind of relate to. I design T-shirts and shit like that for a living, and we have a very expensive print shop setup at the place that I work, where you can do 4-color process jobs or photos and shit like that. Now you can get a machine that's basically a color printer that you load a T-shirt into, but it's kind of like, you remember when you used to get those white shirts with iron-on transfers on them, and it always just kind of looked like a faded image from the beginning, as opposed to being able to print something in a rich, vibrant,
yeah, exactly,
like a rich, vibrant $30 T-shirt from like a retail outlet. When you put the same image through your iron-on press or whatever, you never get that crisp look, and that's the way that dyes worked back then, and that's what I'm getting at. Like, yeah, you could make a red or a blue or a purple or a green or a yellow, and you could dye your canvas with it instead of having to wear drabs and grays and things of that nature. You could wear something that had color to it, but you weren't getting that, like, because it also had to do with the fabrics. When you were paying to have something professionally dyed, it was a high quality crafted
your
garment.
Peasant class would have been your lower classes would have been mostly like linen or flaxseed, which is very easy to grow and very cheap to turn into like yarn to turn fabric.
Oh,
versus like silk or something like that. But yes, that's essential. You're basically right. It's like knockoff,
like a knockoff Gucci bag, yeah. Like getting a knockoff Gucci bag with the crooked stitch that every woman can see, but you pretend they can't.
Yeah, which it would have looked great. I mean, there would have been massive, vibrant colors everywhere. But to the discerning, like, upper class eye, they would have been like, well, that's not the correct purple for that hauberk. Who do you think you are, you peasant? You know.
Well,
but if you strolled out in a purple, tunic or something like that at this time, you know, the other people in the village would be, oh my God, that's so amazing.
Right. Do me one. But with that, we could probably talk about. We could probably talk further about the hardships of being in the 1600s forever.
Yeah, me and Novel Bro could go another hour probably talking about this shit if you really want.
We can do that off the air. Final thoughts on these two books, gentlemen.
Pretty good, actually. I like the way the story's progressing, and despite the anachronisms, I'm still invested in it, man. I would still recommend it to your regular Joe comic layman and stuff. So yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I would say going back through it, noticing the little nods and hints to what's come, has made it a lot of fun, and I would definitely recommend this to someone who's interested in comics, someone who likes history and kind of understands the time period. Your average person who grew up reading like modern day Spider-Man or shit like that probably won't like it as much, but someone who kind of has an idea of like history, who's into that kind of stuff, will definitely it'll definitely pick up at these two issues. It's kind of reaching kind of the peak, like, historical fiction, and anachronistic, but still in kind of a fairly accurate sense, besides a couple of little things here, the sword, the dagger design, the armor, stuff like that. But besides that, it's pretty. If you're a history buff and kind of interested, this is definitely like kind of the peak of where this gets to. Besides the next two, I should say, were probably my favorite. But
well, one thing that I'll say is, and we talked about this a little bit off air, at least Novelbro and I did. This is something that I think if you only know comic books because of the movies, is a great jumping on point to get an idea of the archetypes of superheroes without having to know everything that's happened in comic books to them at this point. Everything's spelled out pretty clearly. It's really wordy, but after you get into the actual book,
that's okay. we know how to read, unlike Dillard.
Well, and that is a common complaint that I have with a lot of comic books is they try and overpack it with information, but it actually works in the sense because there's not as much action
It
in these
does.
books, but it doesn't need to be action. This is kind of a it's a love letter of Neil Gaiman's writing, I think, and it works really well.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to put it in a different context. This is like the Shakespearean monologue before the action really starts in a play from this time period. That's how.
Oh, it definitely picks
this
up.
Is the big
Don't get me wrong.
monologue where everything's explained to you, the character motivations, the like raw emotion. This is where that happens, and that's going to lead into the next bit where you get the fun fight scenes and blood and gore and people dying and shit like that. So this is the nice little crescendo into the fun shit, and I really like that about that kind of like theater, kind of dramatic effect from this kind of era. And I think that's really nice. You can definitely see Neil Gaiman definitely studied his history and the drama and writings of the time and kind of the flow of the stories and the way like that kind of like whether it's troubadour stories or dramatic plays like Shakespeare around this time, it follows that same sort of like those same sort of beats but in comic form, and you can definitely see that here. It's a lot more exposition, monologues, that kind of stuff, and it's building up, and I really like that a lot about this part of the story.
Okay. Well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to tune in Monday. We will have another episode of the Gospel of Comics again. If you were not here in the beginning, Saturdays and Mondays, 10 to 10:30 p.m. Eastern will be our new.
Depends
new
on how tired we are.
Basically, if I found the comfy spot or not. But in that, ladies and gentlemen, I do appreciate it. Thank you for dropping by. Shout out to everybody in the chat, everybody that upvoted, downvoted the video. Thanks to Dillard Draws for jumping in with us. Novel Bro, again, thank you for bringing your expert. I will kick you. Thanks to Novel Bro for bringing his expertise onto the show. As always, thank you, Ayrton, for co-hosting with me. And with that, if you would be so kind as to get us out of here.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Novel Bro.
Hail.